President of the Early Sorry, that was good. I am Tim Lovitz, your president-elect, filling in for your president, Kevin Kassier. Apologies for the sort of slight delay on food. They were supposed to be here at 11:30, and Katie was pulling her hair out, so we got you guys through the line as fast as we could. But because of that, we're a little bit tight on time. I'm going to skip a couple of things that we had today. Randy was signed up to do the moment of inspiration. Thank you, Randy, but we're going to skip that. First thing I want to do, unfortunately, is have a moment of silence for one of our own, for Brooke Smith. Brooke passed away recently. He was a proud member of this club for over 10 years. His funeral will be this Friday, November 1st, at Central Presbyterian Church at 1 p.m. So if you would, please join me in a moment of silence for Brooke. Thank you. Thanks to Dick Stauffer and Mark Snell for serving as our greeters today. When you walked in, we appreciate them doing that. A reminder, you can sign up to be a greeter at the badge station. It's a great way to say hello and meet everyone when they come in. Okay, guests. We have several guests here today. You might have noticed we have a special table in the back of some visitors that I'll get to in a minute. But as I announce guests, if you could please stand, and then everyone can hold their applause until the end, and we'll greet you as a group. First, we have Joe Sweeney from Jennings Kalen Advisors. He is a guest of Mark Snell. Rachel Beals, the government banking executive of Chase Bank, and she is a guest of Jake Unruh. Then, as I mentioned, we have 7 guests from the International Center. 4 of those 7 are professionals from business all the way from Kazakhstan. And they're here in Iowa through November 2nd for a program titled NGO Management. And as I informed them prior to the meeting, I'm not going to try and say their names. As someone who had my name mispronounced so often as I was growing up. So, but they're on the screen for everyone to notice. So, welcome to all our guests. Thank you so much. Next, I want to say thank you to our own Matt Hill for hosting us at this great location today. Let us meet here. We had a conflict with the Embassy Club. Matt has a few remarks he wants to share. So,
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you for choosing the Maytag Center for our meeting location today. We're so happy to have everyone here. And for those of you who have not been to this building before, the building is about 12 years old. It was made possible in large part not only with the Maytag Family Foundation, but also to a number of donors across our community, and some of which are in the room today. So thank you for making this great facility possible. I know we're short on time, but just a couple of highlights about this building I'd like to point out. If you're like I was when I first came here to interview for the position of Scout Executive, if you're wondering what this wall is that starts in front of the building and goes almost all the way out to the back, if you come here on the summer solstice and you want to come and watch the sunrise, you'll see that the line of the sun follows that almost right on. It's a pretty incredible thing. And then as you follow that wall all the way down, you'll see our amphitheater in the back with the 12 points of the Scout Hall. And then behind that is a fully stocked fishing pond, which one of our board members and our next door neighbor, Brian Lafredo, and our neighbors in Waldinger, we have a standing agreement that they help us, we help them, which basically they can come over and fish anytime that they want to. So I will extend that opportunity to you guys as well. If you're looking for a great place to take someone fishing here in Des Moines, you're more than welcome to. So last thing I'll say is, as much as I love to see this group here today, one of my favorite days of the year, or a couple of days of the year, is during the summer we started running daycares through here. And we had over 1,500 daycare kids throughout the summer in the month of June. They use these 3 rooms, they use the facility, obviously use the fishing pond, they use our activity field. And what that's done for us is just another partnership for us with our local schools that allows us to recruit new Cub Scouts. And this year I'm proud to say year to year we're up about 7.5% over last year in our Cub Scout recruitment. So we're really happy to have that and to have that opportunity and have this great facility so we can work with our community partners. So thank you guys again for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Before we go any further, I want to lead us in the pledge and the 4-way test. I'll just tell everyone, instead of greeting fellow Rotarians, again, we're kind of tight on time, we can do that after the meeting or perhaps out in the lobby. So why don't you all stand and we'll do the pledge and the 4-way test. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and the 4-way test.
Is the truth, is fair to all concerned, will it build goodwill and better friendships, will it be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you. And again, please feel free to stick around and greet each other after the meeting. All right. Next, I want to bring up our own Skeet Wooten, the Rotarians on the floor laughing. I still haven't figured out why it's named that, because I haven't seen people on the floor laughing Skeet in the last several weeks. But
Thanks, David. Well, last time was supposed to be Beggars Night, and it wasn't. So tonight is supposed to be Beggars Night. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to do some of my favorite Beggars Night jokes that I've learned over the years. And Dave, you said you'll like this one, the first one. So, you know why the Chicago Cubs don't have a website? You can't put 3 W's together. There you go. So, what did the Dalmatian say after lunch? That hit the spot. Like 5-year-old kids are telling us. This is the last one. How do we know that the ocean is friendly? Because it waves.
thank you, Steve. One of your better efforts. One of your better efforts. Rich Leopold, now our community service chair. Community chair has an announcement you'd like to make.
Well, I'm up here representing the Community Service Committee, and I get one. So why don't crabs get to charity? Because they're shellfish. Okay. But we are not shellfish, right? So when I looked at what was happening for the year within our committee and things like that, I've already been impressed by the people that have been leading these things. So things like the warm coat drive. I don't know if you saw it in the newsletter. 272 coats this club put forward. How's that? Right? And now, coming up on Thanksgiving, we do the fairway cards that helps families in need from Edmonds Elementary to purchase a good Thanksgiving meal. Last check was, we were 5 away, but I brought, so I think we're 4 away. We're 4 away right now, so let's see if we can get those last 4 in there. Not next Wednesday, November 7th is our next Community Service Committee meeting. So it's right after the Rotary meeting. We take a half hour or less. We go through the things we want to do. We got some big things coming up next year. We got a blood drive. Sue Woody is working with the library and the Arts Center, and we're going to do some kind of a book folding for an event that's later that they're doing with the Arts Center. And then we've also got some spring events. We're looking at perhaps some tree planting, stream cleanups, Earth Day type activities, and maybe something else. So if you have an interest, please feel free to show up after the meeting on November 7th at a regular location.
Thank you, Rich. you to all of you again for working with us to kind of speak through the initial meeting part here, so we give enough time to our speaker, who was graciously joined us in a busy part of his year. I will have Treasurer Keaton County now. I'll introduce our program.
Hi everybody. I am very happy to be here today to introduce Jamie Fitzgerald. Jamie has served as the Polk County Auditor and Commissioner of Elections since January 2007. Jamie manages a staff of 49 full-time employees in 5 departments. His office is responsible for a wide variety of functions, ranging from paying all of Polk County's bills to conducting elections in Iowa's largest county. As the county auditor, one of Jamie's top priorities has been utilizing technology and increasing efficiency to benefit all of Polk County. His office has worked to place more than 100 years of board meeting minutes online for the public to view, and we recorded all audio from past meetings. Jamie has overseen the digitization of all of the Polk County transfer index books. This allows citizens to trace online every property transaction in Polk County. He might go through that for us today to tell us how we can actually do that. Most importantly, given the time of year, as Commissioner of Elections, Jamie oversees all elections in Polk County and maintains records for more than 300,000 registered voters. Maybe he could also go through for everybody today so everybody understands how to get on Polk County's website and watch those election results start to come in next week. Jamie received his Associate of Arts degree from Iowa Central Community College in 1992 and a Bachelor of Arts from Iowa State University in 1994. He added a Certified Public Manager certificate from Drake University in 2010. In 2019, he earned professional election certification through the National Election Center and Auburn University as a Certified Elections and Registration Administrator. Most importantly, he loves in his free time to spend time with his 3 grandkids, and he also has a very large family photo project going on right now. Everyone, please help me welcome Jamie Fitzgerald.
Well, I'll start by saying no one's happier to be here than me. Because our office has a long line, it moves quickly, but we're nearing the end of an election cycle that's been somewhat contentious. Everyone that's been to our office has been extremely kind. It's been a very good election so far, but I want to talk a little bit about how we prepare and make sure your vote is secure. This is an issue that comes up quite a bit into presidential elections, and I'll talk a little bit further at the very end about a couple other things. So we do things on the pre-election side, we do things early voting, we make checks on election day, and we also do post-election ideas. So we have a lot of things that we do to make sure that your vote is counted and is correct. One of the first things we do in pre-election is voter registration. And that's going to be an issue I'll talk a little bit about later. But when you sign up to register to vote, you sign up to be a citizen, you sign up you're 18, you put your address down, and on the very bottom there's a statement saying it's a perjury, number of years in prison, and I think it's up to a $10,000 fine for fictitiously signing one of those. So we run those, a lot of them with caught the DOT. There are other ones that have social security numbers we have to track down. So we're spending time on that every day. Most of our voters have driver's licenses, are easy to find. Other ones are not. So we'll get to that late in the presentation. We also do a machine test. We check every machine, we check every ballot. Our goal is to make sure that what we're charged with is make sure every oval counts. Say, you want to do write-in, say you don't want to vote for any of the candidates. We have a testing mechanism that we go through to make sure everything's correct. In this picture, it's Secretary Pate and I doing our public test, and we'll walk through kind of what that looks like. But we're checking over 15,000 ballots before they go out on election day. We're making sure our machines count everything accurately. So one of the things I get asked, what if I circle names? Well, you have to follow the directions. We've all been through basic skills. a small will be picked up, and that's why we're doing the testing. So we start out with a zero tape. We bring the machine up, a zero tape gets printed to make sure there's no ballots, no votes on that machine. That happens on election day as well. We all sign that document, and our poll workers are Democrats, Republicans, they look at it, make sure it's zero. For the public testing, we have a set schedule we use. This year it was 38 different ballots based on presidential candidates, all throughout the ballot, the yes and no's of the judges, constitutional question. There's a lot of stuff for testing. So we bring that and we run that through, and when we get through testing all the machines, those that are testing and signing as it's accurate. We want to make sure there's accuracy, 100% accuracy. Not 99, not 99.5, 100. And if it's not 100, we start over. We make sure these machines count. So at the end of the night, poll workers will print out the machine tape and they'll sign it. But for us, getting back to the testing, we have the public come in. It's a public test. This year, it's the first year in 20-some years I've been in the office that we actually had people show up. And we had the media show up for the first time as well. Most of that's due to Secretary Pate calling them, which is great. We want to make sure that everyone's comfortable with the process. You may not like the results, but I want you to be comfortable with the Iowa's process. That it's fair, it's accurate. And this goes on in all 99 counties. So in the previous picture, you can see we had a lot of media sitting there as we were doing our public testing. Of course, they asked no question on public testing. I had a lot of other questions, but we were there. So in early voting, we've had some changes, and I think anyone that's voted early understands you have to fill out the form in its entirety. On our site, we have everything highlighted you have to have on there, which is everything but your contact information and your political party affiliation is not a primary. That includes date. Anything wrong with that, anything you don't fill out, we have to send that back to you. And that's a check for us to make sure everything's accurately filled out. Now, if you live in Polk County, you can't change your address using that. But if you're not in Polk County, so say you're Mark Snell and he's in Norwalk, he moves up to Des Moines, he has to fill out a voter registration form and start that process over. But the one thing that we use is the voter ID number, which people are still confused about. It's always your driver's license. If you don't have one, it's a voter PIN card. The cards I send you when you have a driver's license cannot be used to vote. Seems odd, the legislature chose to do it that way. So it only tells you where to, it really doesn't give you any information. It's the voter PIN card, which has it's a card without your picture. It's the only thing you can use to vote early or at the polling site without a picture. And you sign it. And it has a 4-digit PIN. We still have people guessing. It's not your phone number, it's not your social security number, it's not your birthday, it's not any of those. In fact, any of that's special. I share mine in Polk County with 3,900 residents. I look it up every year to see how many share it with me. And if you paid me all the money in place, I couldn't tell you what it is today. So that's one of the things that you have to do that to request a ballot if you have to vote in person as well. So people coming into our office, you're bringing that with you. We always ask for your ID, that's required, along with you filling out the form now. So making sure everything's safe. We don't send out absentee ballot request forms, we don't send out ballots. Other states do that. Utah, Colorado, Washington, they send ballots. We don't do that. We never have done that. During the pandemic, we were very successful at sending a lot of absentee ballot requests. People got a lot of them. We had 4 voters in our house at that time. I think I was up to about 2 inches in paper. That was taken away by the legislature. So the Secretary of State and my office can no longer send those out unless you request them. And if you're requesting it, just say send me a few. You don't call every time. Just throw a few in your tickler file. It'll save you a lot of time and effort as well. And they can only be accepted 70 days in advance. The old law with the tickler file, then it was 120 days, now it's 70 days. And if we get it prior, and this year, believe it or not, we had over 500, what we do is we send you a letter saying we can't accept it at this time, and we send you your request back. So we had over 500 people try to jump the gun a little bit just because they don't know. They're excited to vote. They're very excited. And that's one of the things that is a check. And you have to fill out your form in its entirety. So make sure that if you're doing the form, has anyone not filled out in its entirety and got a letter from us? Well, it's a good crowd, because usually there's somebody that raises their hand. And when we get your ballots, you can see we have a drop box. You see a lot on the news about drop boxes. This is what ours looks like. Ours is bored into the wall of our election office. There's a lot of reasons for that. One, I want to make sure your ballot's safe. Two, I want to make sure that we have security. When you look up, there's security all around our building. We want to make sure only the people that are allowed to take your ballot back do that. But the other thing, and you're seeing this in some other states where people are lighting these things on fire. And these are your ballots, these are your votes. So we want to make sure they're safe. So they're bored into our wall. If you open that thing, that drop box, you get 1 or 2 ballots in there at a time. And like I said, we have security all around the building. So anyone that's filing that, the county attorney, the secretary of state, or the AG can ask for that film, and they can look to make sure the right people are doing that. And when we store your ballots, we actually store them in a certain secure location once we get them. We have Graham Gillette, who invited me here today. His wife is helping us with that. And we want to make sure they're safe and secure. We don't say where they're at in our building, but they are safe and secure. They're locked. There's cameras on everything. We don't do live streams like other places. That'd be pretty intrusive. But at some point, I'm sure we're going to get to that by the legislature. And then on election day, we have some things. We do voter ID. That's been in effect since 2017. It's pretty commonplace now. When we first started, there were some growing pains. But I'll talk about poll workers, poll watchers, and the one misnomer we hear every year is our machines are connected to the internet. So I'll have a different source say about that one. So here is what voter ID looks like. This is what you can bring. And the one on the far left, that's your voter PIN card. That's what that looks like. It's just a bar scan. It's the 4-digit pins on there. That is what that is. If you get one that doesn't look like that, you can't vote with it. That's the only one you can vote with. And as you can see, it's the only one you can actually use without a picture on it. So at the polls, you're going to be asked for ID. Same with voting early in satellite. People vote at satellite. Same process as voting at the polls. You sign an eligibility slip saying you are who you say you are. That's a legal document. No one's coming and saying I'm Dave Busick and having a driver's license made for him. We scan the back. What it brings up, it doesn't bring up your height or weight. It just brings up your address. And this year, instead of repeating your address back, we repeat your street back. You still live on 15th. We had a lot of voters that felt very uncomfortable with people behind them hearing that. We heard them, so we just say, are you on 15th Street still? And maybe we confirm that. So that's a pretty good check. And then new registrants have to prove both identity and residency. They have to prove who they are and where they live. And that's something that anyone that in the last 15 days that's re-registered or registered is going to be doing on election day. So if you've moved and didn't get it done in time from one county to the other, please plan on a little extra time at the polling site. It does take time to key this in, so we want to make sure we're accurate. Everyone can always vote a provisional ballot. That is one of the things that Secretary Bates talked a lot about. A provisional ballot is a ballot that goes into an envelope instead of the machine. And usually when that goes in the envelope, it's because something happened. You're not registered. You can't prove residency, you can't prove identity. You have an absentee ballot that you think returned, you're not sure. So this is a catch to make sure. And Democrats and Republicans come together after the election, and they actually will decide if these ballots will count or not. Now we're going to have a lot more this year, given a couple different things that have happened. Usually we have about 10 or 15. In 2018, before we had the poll pads, which are those electronic check-ins, before that we had thousands. And it's like running a marathon, and then being told you have 5 more miles to go. So we want to get everything counted as quickly as we can and accurate, but there will be a number of these provisional ballots this year. A little too quick on these. So here's our tabulators. This is from Secretary of State. This isn't from me. Nothing's connected to the internet. We're not connecting our tabulators to the internet. That's one of the things we hear a lot about. I have a guy couple days, somebody will call and say, how do you know you're not hacking into things? Which is one of my closing things I'll talk about. Absentee voting, how we count them. We count them the day before the election. We count the day before the election for a lot of reasons. Think of our friends in Pennsylvania. They start at 7 a.m. election day. Now, we'll have like close to 100,000 in Polk County. We could probably get it done, but we have staff who are cutting into their time. So we want to make sure we can help the polling sites as well. So these are counted by Democrats and Republicans. My staff's just up there watching. These folks are the ones doing all the work. I'll go through how they go through the ballots themselves. But we also count all the ballots by precinct. This year we're doing the House district. We're going to count every one of them. Then we're going to make sure that when they're counted at the end of the night, or the end of the day when we get counting, that the numbers match. If there's 100 ballots, we want 100 votes. Now, we always say we're going to get 100 votes, but there's always somebody that doesn't put their ballot in the secrecy envelope, doesn't even bring the ballot. We've got everything from checks for the treasurer to junk mail in our stuff. But, so it's going to be 99.9% accurate on the count, but you also don't have to vote for every person. So when you start looking at, counts, amazingly people don't vote for the county audit very often. By the time you get the president and all that, you're getting tired. So I get a lot less votes than the presidential candidates. And then we tabulate. We don't tabulate the results until election night. We do that at 8 p.m. We have 4 machines in Polk County counting these things. So we're not tabulating, so I don't know who's winning or losing. Anyone that tells you they think they know, they're fooling themselves because there's 4 different machines. You don't know which ones you're opening. And getting to the opening, okay, I'm sorry, I keep clicking too fast. So how we open them is you send it back to us, and anybody's voted absentee, you have to sign your affidavit envelope. What we do is we cut that envelope, and then we put it on the counter. That's what we're counting. We're counting all the affidavit envelopes. Then we remove the affidavit envelope and the secrecy. So your secrecy sleeve that's in there, it's not an envelope, it's a sleeve. That is taken out from your ballot. And these are done in teams of 2. There might be 10 people at the table, but nobody's looking and saying, oh my gosh, let me see how this person's voting. They're all very busy, they're all being watched. So what they do is they take out they take the affidavit, remove the secrecy sleeve with the ballot in it, they remove the affidavits, then they start going through the secrecy and opening them up so we can count them. So the ballot is divorced from your affidavit and your secrecy sleeve before we start counting it. So unless you write, this is Doug's ballot, we don't know whose ballot it is. Then post-election, we have post-election audits. That's kind of new. We've had that for a number of years, but it's a pretty new process. And what that is after the election, we get the results in, they're all unofficial, and the Secretary of State will pick a precinct at random, any precinct. And what we do is we'll count that precinct by hand. We count president or governor, and then another one that they pick randomly. It could be county auditor, it could be the judges, it could be a lot of things. And then every county does this. This isn't just for us. Every county does this to make sure accuracy. And it's been 100% accurate so far. And here's the 99 counties, and everything's been accurate. And that's a good thing to have. Then canvassing votes. That's when the votes become official. Nothing's official until the Board of Supervisors canvass. They go through the tapes and what we reported, the added provisionals, the UOCAVA, which are your overseas citizens and veterans, military. They add those in to the Special Precinct Board, and then they sign a form saying this is accurate. And that is how your vote is canvassed. And then the same day registration, I want to make sure we highlight this again. You have to prove who you are and where you're resident. And you can do that on your phone. It has to say your name and your address. It can't say resident. Resident doesn't work. Everyone gets those. So, and that's one thing that we allow, is I will allow one person to attest for somebody in their own precinct. So say you moved in, your spouse registered, you didn't, you don't have anything in your name, not even on your phone, not a cell phone bill, nothing. They can attest for you. And the issue, they have to be pre-registered. You can't just both register and we don't know who you are. We know who you are already. We've already sent you a card, it didn't come back. There's a lot of checks on that. So this doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it usually happens. One spouse registered, one didn't. And they're able to do that. They sign a form. It's got the same kind of perjury, it's got the same kind of penalties if you violate it. And we guarantee we can find the person that signed it is already registered. So, my final thoughts, I'll add one more real quick, but we're the referees in the process. Truly, we're just trying to have everyone vote. Everyone's got their favorite home team, but we want everyone to participate. We don't look to see what party you are, we don't do any of that. We have enough going on, and like I said, I'm the happiest to be here because my staff is dealing with people coming in to vote. We don't even, like I said, no one looks to see what party, we don't care. We want you to participate. And the one thing you can't do is hack our paper. Everything we have is on paper. Whether you vote overseas, whether you vote provisionally, whether you vote satellite, in our office, our ADA compliant machine, everything we do is on paper. Now, one thing I'll finally address, because I'm sure it would be a question, is the potential non-citizen issue. That issue has come up. We found out about it last Tuesday. And what that is, and I gotta be careful because a new lawsuit hit today and I'm named in it. But what the directive is from the Secretary of State is that they can't confirm whether these folks are citizens or not. On our records, they said they're a citizen for voting. They signed that they're a voter. They signed the perjury. At some point in time, and some of these have been almost a decade or two before, they told the DOT they're not a citizen. So there's 2,000 statewide. And there's a group out there right now with a lawsuit it's within the 70-day window. You saw it happen in Virginia, it's happening in a lot of places. So there will be a lawsuit. We'll be in court, I think the staff said tomorrow morning on that. And I'm named just for following the directive. It's not, I'm out there making any new issues. But a lot of these are going to be citizens. I think the Secretary of State conceded that. They just can't confirm who they are. There's a state database, a federal database called SAVE that looks for citizenship. I didn't know we're not a part of that, but we are not a part of that. So that's kind of the issue we're at. And we'll let the courts figure out what's going to happen. We're prepared right now to treat everybody with kindness and dignity. When you come to these people are not being notified ahead of time. We're not going to scare them away from voting. But when they show up, they'll be in a different color. And there's a phone number that the poll worker is going to read and say, please call this number. They're going to talk to one of my senior staff. We're going to walk them through the process, what they need. And we're going to explain to them why this is happening. We're going to read the directive right to them as the Secretary of State said. But we want to make sure that we have kindness to our neighbors and make sure they understand what this is and what this isn't. So with that, I will take any questions or comments you might have.
I can talk about it. Okay. No, my question was just early voting. Obviously, both parties really encourage it and everything like that. And I was just curious. I always like the passion tree of voting on election day. But if I can help my team, as you said, with early voting, is there really any advantage to getting that vote in early, other than just they don't have to keep calling you because you haven't voted?
So the question is there any upside to voting early versus voting at the polling site? One, the calls do go away. I can't tell you how many texts you guys get the same text I get. Both parties are pushing it because you never know what the weather's going to be like. If it's a blizzard, it is November. We've had a really good fall so far, but a lot of them say something happens. Say you fall and hurt yourself. So that's why they push it. They want to bank the votes. Both parties use the same lingo. Bank the votes, get them in early. And that's one less person they have to call on election day. We are seeing a change in how we vote in Iowa. We're moving away from voting by mail and more voting in person. So we have satellite locations that were petitioned, and they have to be petitioned. I don't get to set them up anymore. How I used to do it, I'd bring the Democrats and Republican chairs in, I'd give them a list of where I'd like to be, and I'd ask them, do you want to go anywhere else? Is there a better place than where I'm at right now? And that's how we did it until the law took it away from me. And now they have to petition. So some areas got them, some areas didn't. And we tried to make it, you know, if we did one area for 4 days, we tried to do other areas for 4 days. But they were very successful, between 5,000 and 6,000 every day. People wanted to vote in person. People are in line in our office, they're in line with the satellites, and everyone's kind. We've had very few people have anything negative to say. That started yesterday when it started raining. No one wants to sit in the rain. I don't want to sit there either. So you have until November 4th to vote early. You can vote in your county auditor's office or live in Polk. Our office, we have an election office, and it's in the bar district, is one of the main reasons we have our drop box bored into our wall to make sure it's safe. But we're open from 8 to 5 Monday, or today, Friday, and Monday. And we're open 9 to 5 on Saturday. So if you want to come in and vote, the best time to vote is mid-morning. The line seems to be less. But every day we come to work and there's 30 to 40 people waiting for us. And they're just interested in voting. And like I said, luckily, it's been a great weather. But we're about 92% in right now. I think we have about 5,000 ballots that are still out in the mail. So people are serious about this election. Both parties, all parties, are getting their ballots in. One more? Okay, one more question. Then I would be happy to stick around and take questions because I don't want to go back to work.
How do you handle from either party those that say they want to be the poll watchers to make sure the voting is valid and all that?
Sure, that's a great question. I skipped over that. So poll watchers, so poll workers are people hired by me. We have 1,035 of your neighbors, Democrats and Republicans. These are truly your neighbors. I know I have a couple of individuals here that are poll workers. They get training from my office. Poll watchers represent the political parties and candidates and maybe an issue. These are assigned by the parties. There's a great video the Secretary of State put together this year that gives the do's and don'ts. You know, what you can do is sit there and watch the process, call our office if you something wrong. You can take off voters' names. What you can't do is interact with voters. You can't interact with my poll workers. You can't go back and see how everything's going. You can't look at, you know, what we're doing. So there's a lot of do's and don'ts. And I got to applaud the Secretary of State for making sure that everything's fair. Now, we work with both parties. They have to give us a list of who's going where. And both parties have been wonderful to go through. We send them everything they can and can't do. And it's been a good experience. Now, if there's a problem, we're going to handle that pretty quickly. We're not going to have people disrupt on either side. We're not going to have people out, you know, in front of the building saying, vote for this person, vote for this person. We have a 300-foot limit. And we actually have aerials now what 300 feet is. So a lot of times it's the middle of the street. So you want to go out and yell in the middle of the street, good luck to you. So with that, I'll close. But I thank everybody. Thank you for everything. And I'll stick around for any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate the informative presentation and what you do for Polk County. We know you have a busy week next week, so grateful again for you being here and taking time out to speak with us. Okay, upcoming speakers. I'll be quick here so we can get out of here. Remember, you and any guests you wish to bring me to RSVP by Wednesday at 9 a.m. Think about someone you can bring to Rotary who may be interested in one or more of our keynote speakers that are upcoming and may make a great addition to our club. We have November 7th, Lisa Kearns, Medical Director of VA Central Healthcare System. And remember, we're back at the Embassy Club, so don't come here next week. We're back at the Embassy Club. November 14th is fellowship meetings. We have 3 Rotarian host sites. I think you got an email about that today. That email explains everything, but it's, please sign up for one of those sites. We'll have in the bag provide lunch, and you'll register online for where you want to go. And you can't bring a guest to the fellowship meetings, so please do not try to bring a guest on November 14th. And then on November 21st, we have Sally Dix, the Executive Director of Bravo Greater Des Moines. Again, apologies for the lunch timing snafu, but thank you to our guests, especially our guests that came all the way from Kazakhstan to be with us today. Thank you for all of you for being a vital part of this Rotary of Des Moines. And when you get a chance, I know you didn't ask me to say this, but thank Kevin. Kevin's doing an excellent job this year of moving this club forward. So when you get a chance, tell him thank you for his presidency so far. Happy Halloween, and don't forget to set your clocks back. So we are adjourned.